Hello! Welcome to Levels Plus Whenever episode 81. Oh, I promised Street Fighter 6, but something happened. Something has happened that prevents me from doing that. Nintendo with the directs always making me have to lie. Anyway, predictions, speculation about the direct will be this episode, as well as a few pickups, which we'll go ahead and do those real quick. I got some more Femtendo stuff. So we'll start with Insector X. This one is a port of a Taito arcade shooter, but it was cutified for the Famicom release, and it was never released in America. And then I got Deep Dungeon 3 complete in box with all the things. If you'll remember, I got this game strategy guide, probably pickup or two or so back. So I should be incredibly well prepared to discuss it in Femtendo. I think 89 is when this came out. Alright, the rest are all related. They're all from Namco. They all feature a unique mascot that they created for the family line of games for the Famicom. So I got Family Pinball, complete with box. I got Family Circuit, complete in box. And I've got Namcot Classic, complete in box. As well as Family Tennis, just the cart, and Side Pocket, just the cart. Along with Family Mahjong 2, I believe, that is the entirety of the Namcot Girl, or Namcot Woman mascot that they used for probably about a year to 2 years to market their games. And so I'm going to be doing a spotlight on this character in Femtendo 88 is the plan, because Femtendo 87 is way too big. Nintendo Direct. Tomorrow, 7 a.m. Bright and early. I will be live reacting to it as it airs. The reaction will not go up until the evening because I have a job. And then Sony also announced they're doing a State of Play tomorrow, just to spite Nintendo. But I will not be paying too much attention to that, unless there's like Street Fighter or Resident Evil news, probably. So, I honestly don't know what to expect from tomorrow. I think it's a pretty safe bet that we'll learn a little bit more about Super Mario RPG. We'll probably learn a little bit more about Super Mario Bros. Wonder, even though they literally did a direct of that like 2 weeks ago. They've got that Wario Land, Move It. They'll probably talk about that. They'll probably talk a bit about the Pokemon DLC. I think it's a pretty safe bet that Splatoon 3's Side Order DLC will be on the menu, unlike last time, which was an inexplicable ice cream splatfest that made no sense. Might get amiibo news on the Xenoblade 3 amiibo, maybe even the Sora amiibo, if that's even a thing. And I think that's, like, I don't think we'll get more on Princess Peach game or Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon port. I would be surprised if Metroid Prime 4 showed up. I would love it if it did. I would love that immensely. But I don't predict that to be there. Maybe we'll get Metroid Prime 2 Echoes remaster, which will probably be a little less enthusiastic of one. That seems to be what the general vibe around that rumor. Outside of that, though, I think we're kind of in what could Nintendo do? I guess we'll get Detective Pikachu return stuff, but so I think that's everything that is known. I don't know how well Advance Wars is done. One would think that they would possibly DLC the DS game into it, since they've already done 1 and 2, but that game came out and there's been nothing, literally nothing else said about it. It almost feels like Nintendo was just way too happy to get that out the doors, and we'll never mention it again, and we probably won't see Advance Wars DS ported anytime in the future. Tears of the Kingdom allegedly isn't getting DLC. Yeah, like what is Nintendo gonna have? It can't just be what we know, because that's just not how Nintendo usually rolls with directs. They wouldn't just be completely doing a brand new direct just for third parties and games that we already know about. So there's got to be a few new things. So I'm gonna throw 3 ideas out there. 3 ideas. First idea is that we're going to see a Fire Emblem something. I get a very strong feeling that we're going to get an Echoes game. That is not Shadows of Valentia, but a new Echoes. Continuing that branding. And it's either going to be Genealogy of the Holy War and Thracia 666, I think that's that game's name, or it will be Path of Radiance, Radiant Dawn. That seems the most likely. It's been rumored for a while. I think it makes sense in terms of GameCube ports, since we're getting a lot of those from third parties right now, and we already got Metroid Prime earlier. I think out of Nintendo stuff, that would probably be the most coveted GameCube port outside of what I'm going to say next, which is Zelda Wind Waker, Zelda Twilight Princess remastered, coming to Switch. Both of those games I don't think would take very much work to do, other than losing the Wii U pad functionality, which I think could be set to a button if we really had to get to that point. But those games are like, that's a good Zelda filler, because I don't expect there to be a new Zelda game announced, or a new remake or remaster announced here. If anything, it makes sense to kind of close out the Wii U stuff. And my third thing is also Wii U. I think Xenoblade Chronicles X, if it has any chance of happening at all, it's at this direct. And I think it might, because it's been a little while since 3's DLC wrapped up. I think that was like, what, April or May? And they've got Definitive Edition of the original game out, kind of in between that 2 to 3 realm. So it would make sense while they're likely working on 4 or whatever they're going to call the next one, to get X out and just have the entire Xenoblade saga on one system. So those are my guesses that I feel pretty decent vibes about. There's been a lot of hope for F-Zero to get a revival. I think that hope is probably unwarranted, unless F-Zero GX gets a remaster, which would be awesome. It's probably the game that most people would want to see remastered out of the F-Zero series. And bring all the AX stuff in if you're going to do that. I guess I forgot Pikmin 4. That just came out. Maybe there'll be DLC for that. It seems like a pretty complete game though, so I don't know if that's going to happen. We might get some Nintendo Switch Online stuff. Some announcements there would be nice. The Game Boy and Game Boy Advance have not done a lot since they've been announced. It's been a year. And we are like still sitting at like 9 GBA games, maybe 10, and like maybe 20 Game Boy games, maybe. So it would be good to see a little bit of an uptick in releases on those consoles, and maybe something new. Bring the TurboGrafx 16. Why not? It was on the Wii U and the Wii. Let's just get Konami back into this thing. Get some TurboGrafx 16 NSO titles out there. Why not? Let's just do it. What's it hurting? I think that would be a cool thing. Alright, so that's Nintendo. Those are my guesses without getting into wild speculation land. So let's move into some other companies that will likely have something here. I think we might see from Capcom something Monster Hunter-y, because it's been a while since Sunbreak came out, and I think that it might be time to see what the next project might be, and I think Rise did really well, like even better than World possibly. So I wouldn't be surprised if another Monster Hunter thing shows up. Maybe we'll get more on Ace Attorney, or Apollo Justice Ace Attorney Collection, I think is what they're calling the sequel. See a little bit more on that. In terms of things I would love to see, I mean, they knocked it out of the park with Ghost Trick. Like, that remaster was incredibly well done. I want to see Capcom vs. SNK Collection really bad. I think that's the thing that I would love to see more than anything else, compilation-wise, from Capcom at this point. I would accept a Mega Man Legends compilation as a consolation prize. Those are the two things I think are very deserving. If we want to go rando, never gonna probably happen land, Breath of Fire. The 5 Breath of Fire console games together as a compilation. That would be an amazing announcement, but I don't think Breath of Fire has the pull or the fan base to make it happen, unfortunately. Konami might show some Suikoden. It got delayed, so it'd be nice to see it and maybe get a better sense of when it's coming out next year. Castlevania DS Collection, or Castlevania Symphony of the freaking Night. That would be amazing. I don't think we're going to see anything else except maybe MGS collection stuff, which they kind of blew that open already. So I really don't know what they would add unless they decide to throw the GB color game on there. And they were like, aha, we're adding this too. So I don't expect a ton from Konami. If anything, it'll be one thing. And Super Mario Man R2 just came out, so I don't think they're going to really highlight that. So it's going to either be Suikoden, Castlevania, or something I'm not going to even attempt to predict. Maybe we'll see Shadow of the Ninja Reborn. We haven't seen a whole lot of that. Tokyo Game Show is where it's likely going to have a really big presence, but maybe Nintendo will go, hey, Tango Project, you've made some beautiful looking games. You want to be in a direct. So that's hopeful. It's probably my biggest hope outside of, like, really out there wild things. Square Enix, haven't talked about them. Tactics Ogre Reborn seemed to do okay. I don't know how well it sold, but it seemed to do okay. So I would be really excited if they did Ogre Battle 64 Reborn. Just don't do the filter on the graphics, please. It looks not great. It's not the way you should be handling that. The way you're handling Star Ocean, the way that Star Ocean, the second story R looks, that's how Ogre Battle 64 Reborn, or however you want to call it, should look. Dragon Quest III HD would be awesome. I forget what they call their pixel things. And that's been quiet since it was announced. So that would be nice to see. That would be kind of a big deal. I don't really know what they would do with Final Fantasy unless they decide to do a cloud version of, like, 16, but I think that's asking an awful lot. So I don't even think that was a PS4 game. Maybe the Chaos Chaos game. I don't even remember the name of. Maybe that could be Cloud. Yeah. I don't think we need any more Cloud stuff, honestly. The 13 trilogy would be a nice... Because that's really like the only thing that's missing at this stage. Because we've got 1 through 12 outside of 11. And we've got 15 Pocket Edition. Tactics would also be good. Even if it's just a remaster of original Tactics. But what I want to see is Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger needs to be re-released. That's my #1 Square Enix thing. Chrono Trigger. Just, again, it's like Symphony of the Night. Freaking Chrono Trigger. Where is it? So that's my hope in terms of Square Enix stuff, is seeing any of that stuff would be really nice. Bandai Namco will probably have 1 or 2 things. It's probably some Dragon Ball thing that I don't care about. But they will probably have some sort of old school port that's not by Tenkaito's show up. Soul Calibur 2 seems like a really likely thing to port to the Switch with Link included. That just seems wise. I would prefer to see the Dreamcast Soul Calibur. That's my favorite still of the entire series. But 2 is the one that's got the clout. So if that would be my guess for a Namco remaster project. Sega. Sega's got portable Persona 5 Tactica, which we will probably see something of. We've got Sonic Superstars, which we will very likely see something of. I would actually be more surprised if it didn't show up at this direct. So with those 2 feeling pretty likely, I don't know what else they might debut here. I don't think Persona, I keep wanting to call it portable. Persona 3 Reload is coming to Switch. I don't think that Atlas is going to work on that project. Maybe they could work with Vanillaware to get Odin Sphere or Dragon's Crown onto the Switch. I think what I would be most excited about if Sega were to remaster something of their own is, of course, Skies of Arcadia. Which apparently there's rumors swirling that they're doing that. So I found that out today. So I would, if you want to see me 100% lose everything on camera, that would be it. That would do it. I would love to see Skies of Arcadia get a remaster. Very, very much. Oh, that's most of the big ones. Koei Tecmo I don't think was even at the last direct, so they will probably have something for this one. I don't know what. They're running out of Fatal Frames. Dynasty Warriors is really slowed down. Maybe Neo on the cloud? I don't know. Maybe an entirely new thing. Maybe they've got a new Warriors game with a Nintendo property that they've been working on that they'll just debut and completely wow everybody. Maybe EA will show up with the Mass Effect port or Dead Space old school ports. I guess Warner Brothers has that Arkham trilogy that they could show a little bit more of, which they probably should, because I wasn't very impressed when they showed it last time. They could show MK1 coming to the Switch. It'd probably be very short considering how violent that game is. And there'll probably be 1 or 2 indie games that get the big time. Hollow Knight Silksong is the one that I always hear about. And personally, it would just make me happy for them to see something on Silksong because they are so desperate. Yeah, those are my thoughts. Those are my thoughts on what could happen tomorrow. And we'll see how accurate I am. And we'll have the next Levels Plus Whenever be about that. Because why ever talk about Street Fighter 6? Yeah, so we'll be talking about the Direct in more detail next time, which will probably be this weekend. thank you for listening to me yammer on about what I would love to see. Hopefully I get some of it right. Until the next time, friends, take care. I have a co-host who has decided to make herself a part of the show today.